If life had a manual, I'd use the one written specifically for me, not the one for the group. I'm Andrea Leigh, and this is The Andrea Leigh Show. My recent blog statement from a few days ago stirred up some reactions. In it, I said, I worked too hard to become who I am to turn around and lay my individuality at the altar of identity politics. The pushback I received was proof that people were thinking, responding, and reacting, and that's a good thing. When people challenge or feel challenged by ideas, it means that they're engaging. So today we're going to dig deeper into why people are so quick to cling to the labels, why group identity is so appealing, and how we may consider breaking free from it. The personal development industry in the U.S. is worth $12 billion annually and growing quickly. People are actively working to become the very best versions of themselves. Yet, despite the pursuit of personal growth, many of the same individuals subscribe to group identities that tell people exactly who they should be. So why do people still cling to the group labels? Because they offer a sense of belonging, support, and external validation. But at what cost? The danger of identity politics is that one's individuality is sacrificed for the sake of belonging to the group. I want you to recognize that your label is not who you are. It is an experience that you've had. The danger of sacrificing your individuality for group identity is that you lose the ability to know who you are beneath the surface of your label. And sometimes the people who claim to be their most authentic selves or take pride in living with authenticity are also the most adamant defenders of the group narrative. That is an interesting contradiction. If you've worked hard to be the very best version of yourself, why surrender that hard work to group identity? Does the group's belief system dictate your thoughts, or do you have your own perspective and belief system? My transition was something I did, not who I am. My uniqueness comes from experiences I have given myself, multiple industries, challenges, transformations in life. Who I am is not limited to one aspect of my story. When people get stuck in one identity, they limit their ability to grow as a person. You may never fully know yourself. If you're always aligning with the group's belief system, how do you actually know what's yours? The real danger is that you might wake up one day and realize you built an entire life around a version of yourself that isn't actually you. And your group identity may end up being a trap and not the community you want. Belonging is important, but when belonging turns into conformity, your individuality is out the window. Critical thinking? Discouraged. Step outside the accepted narrative, and you find yourself excluded. Your personal growth and development happen when you challenge your own belief system and perspectives. But if you keep marching to the beat of the group drummer, will you ever know what it's like to march to the beat of your own drum? And your personal growth may require you to move in a different direction than the group. Living for external validation from a group can be exhausting. If your identity is based on fitting in, what happens when the group's values change so that they can remain relevant? And what happens when you develop beyond it? Are you free to leave, or are you stuck not knowing who you really are beneath the surface of all the labels that you've given yourself? Your real fulfillment comes from aligning with who you are on the inside, not staying where you no longer belong. So ask yourself this: are you choosing your own path, or are you taking a path that's been laid out before you? Because if you're entering the forest and the path is already there, there's a good chance it's not yours to take. We come into this life alone and we leave alone. And if the meaning and purpose of life is found in the experience of it, as Joseph Campbell says, and we must give ourselves new experiences to maximize the meaning and purpose. When you strip away all the expectations and labels and group identity, ask yourself, who are you really? And that's when the real work of personal development and self-discovery begins. I'm going to ask you to do a few things. Start to notice what resonates with you, not what you've been conditioned to believe. I want you to think about who you are when no one else is around, because that will give you a good clue as to your authenticity, your own unique authenticity. And start to reframe your labels as experiences, not definitions. And your growth, don't measure it anymore by external validation, and try something that challenges your sense of identity. Ask yourself, who am I beneath the surface of the labels I have given myself? Who you were 5 years ago is not who you are today, and you're not going to be the same 5 years from now. Your personal growth requires that you let go of the labels and discover who you really are. If this episode has made you think, if it caused a reaction or a response in you, drop a comment, subscribe, and share the episode with somebody you think might need to hear it. And let's have some conversation. I'm Andrea Leigh, and this is The Andrea Leigh Show.